In a quiet town by Lake Michigan, where small houses nestled along tree-lined streets, people often think that tragedy is a distant concept, something that only exists in the pages of newspapers or on television screens. But one summer night, in 2013, the fiery glow from the house of a kind-hearted mother named Donna Scrivo shattered that illusion when she frantically ran out of her burning home. The strange part wasn't the fire, but the coldness in her eyes. The eyes of a mother who knew her son was still trapped inside, yet didn't turn back. No one could have guessed that behind the gentle exterior of a nurse, a devoted mother, was a mind plotting a chilling plan. This wasn't just a murder. It was the ultimate betrayal a mother could ever commit against the child she once cradled in her arms. Dear viewers, before we begin this story, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, hitting the like button, and leaving any comment. It really means a lot to me right now. Thank you in advance, and now, let's dive into the story. On May 31st, 2013, when darkness fell, the streets of Estresser grew silent, a stark contrast to the bustling city of Detroit nearby. However, even in such a peaceful town, tragedy wasn't far behind. That night, Donna Scrivo's home, at 59 years old, was engulfed in flames. She panicked, fearing for her son. Rem Scrivo, 32 years old, was still inside. He lived in the basement and may have been trapped. As the fire consumed everything, the police noticed a strange detail. Donna ran out of the house but never made an effort to save her son, even knowing he was sleeping in the basement. The question arose, did she purposely leave her son behind in the fire? 14 years earlier, Donna Scrivo was the model mother, gentle, always kissing her children when they returned home from school. She and her husband had 2 sons, Jason and Rem. She poured her heart into raising them, had high expectations, and emphasized education. She sent them to private Catholic schools and hoped they would eventually attend university. Originally from Sigavin, Texas, Donna was a beauty queen, the best cheerleader, and was seen as the epitome of a Southern belle. In the late 1970s, she and her husband moved to Michigan and lived what seemed to be a perfect life for 20 years. Donna worked as a nurse, her husband was a painter, and they lived in a beautiful house that everyone envied. She wanted her sons to have the same perfect life. Jason left home early to work as a laborer, while Rem became her sole hope. He attended a local university, graduated in accounting, and worked for several companies. By the age of 29, Rem's life seemed to be a success. But shortly before his 30th birthday, after a party with friends, he fell and hit his head on concrete, suffering a traumatic brain injury. From that moment on, he became irritable, unfocused, and suffered from anxiety and depression. Rem started losing jobs, which caused Donna to worry. In the fall of 2012, Rem gave up his accounting career and worked with his father in their small family business. But Rem was happy to be with his father, who always protected him from his mother's high expectations. Later, Rem decided to live on his own, relying on welfare and financial support from his father. He had his own apartment and lived independently. In the spring of 2013, the Scrivo family faced a new challenge. Gian, who had long suffered from chronic liver disease, had his condition worsen. The doctor diagnosed him with end-stage liver failure, and he was sent home just a day after being discharged from the hospital. Donna, a nurse by profession, was given a prescription for morphine to help alleviate his pain. However, Gian passed away less than 24 hours later. The death of his father left Rem devastated, especially when the medical examiner discovered that a dose of morphine was missing. When questioned, Donna suggested that Rem, who had suffered a traumatic brain injury in the past, might have taken it. This made Rem a suspect. He angrily accused his mother of killing his father, repeatedly shouting, "She killed him." The family sided with Donna Scrivo, claiming that Rem was mentally unstable. He was taken to a psychiatric hospital for an emergency evaluation, but was soon released. His accusations against his mother marked the beginning of a bitter battle between the mother and son. A horrific turning point came when a dismembered body was found, marking the case as one of the most brutal in Michigan's history. After his father's death, Rem was taken for a mental health evaluation due to concerns about possible suicidal tendencies. Donna accused him of stealing morphine, but tests revealed no traces of the drug in Rem's blood. However, the police disregarded his accusations about his mother, labeling them as an outburst from someone with a psychological disorder. After being released, Rem was forced to live with his mother under a court order, as Donna, posing as a nurse, convinced the authorities that Rem could not care for himself. Rem was frustrated at being treated like a child. In reality, he didn't have serious mental health issues as his mother claimed. He was capable of living independently, but Donna had regained control after her husband's death. In fact, Donna had begun her new life even before her husband's passing. In September 2012, she traveled alone and reconnected with her high school sweetheart at a reunion in Texas. Despite her husband's illness, she focused on her appearance, lost weight, and even had cosmetic procedures. She frequently communicated with her former lover and began considering rekindling their relationship. When she returned to Michigan, Donna's heart had already stayed in Texas. They kept in touch often, and she started thinking about returning to him. After her husband's death, Donna felt it was time to return to Texas. She planned to take Rem with her, so she began manipulating him, explaining that there was nothing keeping them in Michigan, and they could sell everything to start a new life in Texas. However, Rem stubbornly refused. He didn't want to move and wanted to stay in the place he called home. If Donna had simply said, "If you don't need my care anymore, I'll move to Texas," things might have been different. But for Donna, what others thought of her was crucial. What would people think if she left her mentally unstable son behind to start a new life? On May 31, 2013, 2 months later, the Scravo family home was set on fire. Rem was trapped inside, but miraculously survived. However, things weren't simple. When Rem emerged from the house, he seemed dazed, saying he felt unwell, had difficulty moving, and was extremely tired. The police asked if he had taken any medication, and Rem admitted he had taken tranquilizers, but they had been given to him by his mother. He simply took them without questioning. When the fire was put out, firefighters discovered that the fire had started in the basement near the furnace, with a pile of rags nearby. Donna blamed Rem, saying he must have been smoking down there. However, the firefighters found no evidence to suggest the fire was caused by a cigarette. The cause of the fire raised suspicions, but there was no evidence to link Donna to it, as no one was injured and there wasn't enough proof to suggest it was intentional. The fire was deemed an accident. With their house burned down, Rem, who was under Donna's guardianship, had no choice but to move into his apartment with her. If Donna couldn't convince him, her new relationship in Texas would fall apart. But Rem stood firm. Tensions escalated, and the mother and son argued constantly. Neighbors frequently saw Rem go to their house seeking help, saying he couldn't stand his mother and wanted to escape. There were days when Rem came twice, looking despondent, saying he was suffocating from his mother's control. Feeling helpless, Donna contacted her eldest son, Jason, who lived in another state. Jason told her she didn't need to live with Rem, but Donna insisted she had to care for him. Jason later said he had a feeling something terrible was going to happen. On May 27, 2014, in St. the temperature dropped to -12 degrees Celsius. Donna called the police. "I'm Donna Scravo. My son, Rem Scravo, went out at 6:30 p.m. last night and hasn't come back. The weather is very cold. I'm afraid something happened," she reported. She said Rem walked to a nearby convenience store and never returned. No one at the store saw Rem, and his phone was unreachable. When the police asked if he had ever shown suicidal tendencies, Donna replied, "It's possible." After his father's death, he became aggressive and mentally unstable. The missing persons case was quickly transferred to Detective Margaret, who had 25 years of experience. 3 days later, police received a detailed copy of Rem's phone call logs. Everyone in the family had called him, except for Donna. She claimed to have tried many times to call her son. No calls from her. This raised suspicions with the detective, who tried to call Donna, but she didn't pick up. By May 30th, there was still no news. Then, on Thursday, a real tragedy struck about 70 kilometers from Donna's home. 12 body parts were discovered in 8 bags. Initially, the police suspected a gang-related execution. Meanwhile, Detective Margaret continued searching for Rem when Donna suddenly reappeared after several days and called her. "Do you know anything about the incident in St. I think it was Rem. I have to go there to identify him." Astonished, there was no connection between Rem and the case in St. There was no reason for her to believe it was her son, but Donna insisted. Her intuition told her it was her son. A local student reported seeing a woman with long black hair driving a silver SUV, throwing the trash bags by the roadside. Police obtained surveillance footage from a gas station, clearly showing Donna Scrivo driving alone. Later, fingerprint analysis confirmed that the victim was Rem Scrivo. The police summoned Donna when they notified her of her son's death, but she showed no emotion. Donna continued to deny the charges and created a story. She claimed that a masked man broke in and killed Rem, then forced her to dispose of the body to protect her eldest son, Jason. However, security cameras showed her buying the saw alone. Neighbors confirmed they only saw Donna dragging the bags, and the entire process of disposing of the body had no second party involved. The police concluded that Donna had planned to kill her son to pave the way for her new life in Texas with her high school sweetheart. She had killed her husband with morphine and her son with tranquilizers. On June 30th, 2015, the jury convicted Donna Scrivo of first-degree murder and sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She would spend the rest of her life in prison. The Donna Scrivo case shocked not only for its extreme cruelty, but also for the complete collapse of a sacred maternal bond. On the outside, Donna appeared to be a loving mother and nurse, two roles society associates with gentleness, care, and compassion. Yet, those very images were used by Donna as a perfect mask to conceal her coldness, calculating nature, and utter ruthlessness. From a mother who once kissed her son on the forehead after school every day, Donna gradually transformed into a manipulator and eventually became the murderer of her own child, all to secure a chance at a new life with her former lover. This horrific transformation didn't happen overnight, but unfolded slowly over the years, starting when Rem was no longer the obedient child meeting her expectations, but instead became a burden she could not bear. In Donna's eyes, her husband's death wasn't enough to free her from her old life, because Rem was still there, like a chain that bound her to a past she wanted to sever. The truth was, Rem was not insane, not dangerous, nor helpless. He was simply a young man who once had a bright future, but was knocked down by an unexpected accident and the heavy expectations of a mother who could never be satisfied. After his father's death, the only person who supported him was gone, and he was returned to his mother's grasp. In that place, there was no longer love, only suffocating control. The truth of that reality is more painful than the death itself. Rem wasn't just killed, he was completely stripped of his dignity, labeled mentally unstable to be discarded. This story also raises a deeper question. How can society distinguish between a devoted mother and a murderer when both images are embodied in one person? Donna exploited her roles as a nurse, a mother, and a guardian to manipulate the system, control the narrative, and cover up the crime. There was no outburst of rage, no loss of control, only calculated steps, carefully chosen words, and a cold-hearted conclusion. From the house burning in the night to the cold bags by the roadside, from from fake worried phone calls to lies about a masked man. All these elements painted the portrait of a mother who traded her humanity for freedom, sacrificed family for the desire to start over. But in the end, the price she paid was her freedom forever stripped away, and the image of the ideal mother is now left only in the criminal records, with a life sentence without parole. The story of Donna Scravo is a painful lesson about the fragile boundary between love and control, sacrifice and selfishness, between the mother and the murderer. It is also a reminder that sometimes the greatest tragedies do not come from strangers, but begin within our own families, where we should feel the safest. If this story has left an impact on you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with your friends to raise awareness of the darker side of human nature. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking stories, and remember, sometimes the greatest tragedies happen closest to home. Thank you for watching.